Welcome to SEFAA Soundbites, your quick pulse on all things multifamily, brought to you by the Southeast Florida Apartment Association. The Southeast Florida Apartment Association podcast and the views and information shared in this episode are provided solely for general guidance, informational, and educational purposes only, primarily for professionals in the multifamily housing industry. The views expressed by hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Southeast Florida Apartment Association. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or operational advice. Listeners should follow their own company's policies and standard operating procedures, and, when needed, seek professional counsel before acting on any topic discussed. So, grab your coffee, plug in, and let's get prepared. This is SEFAA Soundbites.
As summer's right around the corner, we're back with another episode of SEFAA Soundbites, the official podcast of the Southeast Florida Apartment Association. I'm your host, Alicia Rice, ready to bring you hot, on-the-press topics designed to inform and inspire multifamily professionals. With new staff and more training sessions to be held, there's a lot of running priorities to stay on top of. With that in mind, today we're diving into on-the-job tips they do not teach in training, sharing some educational tips and tricks you can apply to your property today alongside Alexis, Garel, and Brandi, Lugo. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we dive in, do you mind just telling a little bit about yourself and the company that you represent?
Okay, great. So my name is Alexis. I am representing Hef Management. I'm a regional manager. I have been there since 1962. No, honestly, 23 years, going on 24. So been doing it for a long time. Started off in Section 8 department, front desk. So front desk, Section 8, public housing, tax credit, affordable housing. So the full affordable world. So I'm your affordable girl.
Wow, welcome.
That's awesome.
Brandi?
My name is Brandi. I'm with Northland Investment Corporation. I have been in the business 26 years, but been with Northland 6 now, and I am their director of sales training. So I do all things leasing, sales, occupancy, and I train our teams how to be better at their jobs.
Well, amazing. Welcome to both of you. Now let's dive in. This is SEFAA Soundbites. Segment 1, we're going to start off with the insider tips that make the process smoother for everyone. So some of the things that we're going to hit on, breaking down Section 8, tax credit, and workforce housing in a way that actually makes sense on site, common applicant misunderstandings and how to explain the process clearly, tips for staying organized with documentation, deadlines, and compliance requirements, and how experienced teams keep the process moving without getting overwhelmed. So, Alexis, let's dive in. What's something about affordable housing that didn't click until you were doing it yourself?
I would probably have to say the paperwork side of it. It's very, very intimidating. I think some people coming from the market side, to qualify, let me get your pay stubs, let me run your background, let me move in tomorrow. That's not the case when it comes to affordable housing. You have to qualify to live there. There is a plethora of paperwork that can be intimidating, but I feel like once you learn it, it's easy from there.
Got it. I agree. I remember the first time I had to fill out an affordable housing packet, I was lost. And my team was like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. So we had to make a few phone calls to some experts that we knew to actually get through it. And it really does make a difference.
So I think that packet that you're talking about is for Section 8 vouchers. Mm-hmm. So that's the landlord packet. And a lot of landlords, red flag when they see that packet because it is a lot of paperwork. But outside of the landlord packet, there is a qualification packet if you want to live on a tax credit property. And that requires paperwork. And that requires a lot of follow-up paperwork as well. So I think that's the part that's also very intimidating.
Interesting that you say that. So with that, how long does it typically take to get through some of this paperwork?
Ooh, okay, so people come in all the time and think, all right, I want to move in tomorrow. Unfortunately, we are just not built that way. The onus is on you to provide us this documentation. So we need to be able to prove that you qualify because we, as a tax credit property or in the tax credit world, we report to the IRS. So there are certain things that you have to do. So you come in, you fill out an application, you fill out the addendums, you have to provide me everything and then some. So any source of income, child support, your employment income, Social Security income, anything that's considered income. We take all your bank statements. We have to go through the bank statements. We have to make sure that you don't have Zells that are questionable or Cash Apps that are questionable that are on a consistent basis. So once we take this information from you, we then have to third party it. So we have to send it off to verify that everything is true and correct. Once we collect everything, then we send it to a third party agency to make sure that it is compliant and approved. Depending on how fast or how good your paperwork is, maybe a week. if we're doing good. Because remember, the compliance company has to be able to review it and approve it on time. If they're backed up, you're going to be waiting a little bit of a while as well. It can take time. Now, if you're delayed in giving me your paperwork, then it's going to be a while for you to move in as well. So if you're having a hard time to get stuff, 2 weeks. I mean, we really try to get people in as soon as possible. It's not overnight.
Okay, so you say that 2 weeks, which actually sounds relatively quick because in my experience, it's been sometimes 30 days, 45 days with just the process, and then even having to go through working with some caseworkers and then even getting to the paperwork back or getting the inspections and all of that needs to take place. Like, it is a very, very lengthy process. And I think sometimes it can be very confusing and sometimes frustrating process for all parties involved. So communication, and then, like you said, just make sure you have everything is really key in getting it done.
So to add on to that, you're talking about the Section 8 process.
Correct.
So I'm going to go into the definition between Section 8 tax credit and workforce housing.
Please.
Because it can take longer if you're taking a voucher because you have to wait for them to do the inspection, pass the inspection, that whole thing. But just regular tax credit, we're not waiting for an inspector. We are the inspector. So we're the landlord. So we're just making sure that you move in. So let me just get into Section 8. So what is Section 8? So I'm going to give you the straight up definition. So Section 8 refers to a housing choice voucher program that's federally funded. It's an initiative that assists low income families, the elderly, and individuals with disabilities to afford safe, sanitary housing in the private market. Now, people that get Section 8 pay 30% of their total annual income. So they're receiving a voucher to live anywhere within that city. So that's Section 8. Tax credit. So definition of tax credit. It stands for LIHTC, which is Low Income Housing Tax Credit. It's a program that refers to affordable rental housing. So instead of direct government funding, the government grants tax credits to developers who sell them to investors to fund construction. And in return, the developers must keep the rents below market rates for lower income households. So that's tax credit. And then that's Section 8. Workforce housing. The newbie. So definition of work, not really newbie, but everyone is seeing that word come around. So definition of workforce housing. So workforce housing refers to the affordable residential properties designed for the middle income workers, particularly essential employees like teachers, police officers, nurses, and retail staff. It targets a higher set aside of income. And that's why it's called workforce housing versus your tax credit, which is like 60% set aside and below. So that's really the difference between workforce housing, tax credit, and Section 8. So if I want to go live on a property it's going to be designated a tax credit property, there is a process for that. If I have a Section 8 voucher, I don't have to live on a tax credit property. I can live at any property that accepts Section 8 because we should all accept Section 8, right?
Yes.
And then workforce housing is typically what you're seeing being built up lately, and that is a higher set aside. So you'll see rents like starting in the 2000s, honestly. And I think that kind of brings in the question of, how is that affordable? I feel like if I can go on a tangent for that, because I feel like affordable housing is not really affordable. I feel like that's a whole nother episode on itself. It's not affordable anymore. I think it's subjective. I don't know how we came up with this to determine that people can afford this. But that's pretty much the difference between the three. What I can say is another question that people have is, well, who determines the rent? So I want to go live on a tax credit property. Who determined this rent? Did the landlord just come up with this? No. So it is a formula established by the IRS, and it's calculated by using the local data published by HUD. So every year we wait for HUD to publish their chart, and we take that income and rent limits, and that's how we formulate our rents for the tax credit side. And that will be the same for workforce housing because they go up to like 120% AMI, et cetera, et cetera. So their rents come from there.
That was an incredible breakdown for everyone because I didn't know because I actually never had to work in tax credit housing. So thank you for that.
Oh,
sounds like a lot. So tell us, what are common questions or misconceptions that applicants have with either tax credit, Section 8, or workforce housing?
Okay, good. All right. So Section 8 and tax credit, they're not the same. Biggest conception. I'm going to a tax credit property and I think that, I have Section 8. I'm only going to pay a portion of my rent. That is not what that is. Section 8 gives you a voucher. And then with your voucher, you are only paying 30% of your total annual income wherever you go. So if I live here and the rent is $1,000, I'm only paying 30% as my portion. The housing authority pays the difference wherever I go. And if my income changes, so does my 30%. That's Section 8. Tax credit, it's restricted income. So I want to live here. That's the rent. I just have to qualify income-wise in order to pay this rent. Biggest misconception. Also, people think that tax credit is a discount program. We've recently had this. Somebody came in and thought the 60% AMI was 60% off, like a Macy's one-day sale. Like they literally thought, like, oh, I'm going to get 60% off. And that's not how that goes. This is the rent. In order to pay this affordable rent, you have to be within a certain income bracket. Biggest misconception. And then people often confuse workforce housing and tax credit as the same, and they're not. It is still affordable housing. Mm-hmm. It's just that, remember, tax credit is a lower income bracket, while workforce housing focuses on a higher income bracket. Like they said, teachers, nurses, etc. Mm-hmm. So that's the misconception of what I hear all the time.
How much time do you think your team spend with people that are coming in having to explain this to prospects?
You would be surprised. So we've had people come in, go through the application process. We're talking about it. We have slideshows, get to the move-in day. Like I said, this just happened. And, oh, no, I can't pay that. I thought it was 60% off.
Oh, wow.
Or I thought it was 30% off.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are just one track.
Right.
One track.
Do you know of any resources that are online for someone to go and say, okay, like this is Section 8, this is how I need to qualify, this is workforce housing, this is tax credit? It just seems like if there is so much confusion around it, that there should be one single site that you can kind of go to and it breaks it down for you and like what you need and how to qualify and like how to get to point A and point B.
I'm not sure if there's a single resource. I know that we use Florida Housing as a guideline for a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But if you want to know what Section 8 is, there's different housing authorities in every state. So, and there's an application period, and those waiting lists really open. And when they open, they close just as fast as they open because the demand is out there. It is hard to live out here. It's hard. It's tough. And tax credit, not a lot of people even know what it is. Yeah. So where would they even know to look for it? Right. So some people usually start off looking up housing authorities and then kind of dive in from there. But if you Google tax credit properties, you'd be surprised how many tax credit properties are right next to you. Like either full-fledged tax credit or it's a development that has a percentage of tax credit units in it. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised. They're everywhere. Even in some of these new luxury buildings, mm-hmm. they set aside a few units mm-hmm. just so they can get those tax credits to get the affordable people in there. So it's everywhere.
I've seen that a lot. I have. And especially in Palm Beach County, I'm familiar with workforce housing. And I think what's confusing about workforce housing is each city and each county even has different rules that go along with it. So there's websites out there and there's resources out there to say, oh, this is workforce housing, but everybody participates differently. So the confusion is real.
Yep.
And explaining it to people is, I would get confused, and I worked in the workforce housing sector of it, and I would get confused with it. I know the last community I manager is 20% affordable with workforce housing. And even at that, they're like, oh, I don't make that much money. I'm retired. Well, right. There's still rules that go along with that. So there's a lot of confusion.
And still. So it's really just about asking the right questions and making sure that you're super direct. I guess when you Google housing or low income housing, mm-hmm. kind of start there. There's not a single resource that I would say, which is why a lot of people don't even know what tax credit mm-hmm. is. So it's different. It's definitely different.
What's a tip that helps everything stay organized and on track?
Calendar.
Yeah. Okay.
Use your calendar. Like I am a big raw person about using your calendar because how else are you going to organize your day? And I feel like outside of just working in the affordable industry or anywhere, if you are an organized person, you should have some sort of calendar. And I have two. I use the Microsoft Outlook and I have a beautiful curated Ross or TJ Maxx calendar, that book with the tabs. It's so pretty. So I use both of them because I have to write it down and cross it off. Yes. It's a mental thing. Yeah. And then I have to go on my calendar. So I start the day off with the calendar. And I tell the team this all the time. What do you do when you first come in? If you tell me you're doing everything but checking your calendar first, red flag. I said, because you could be missing a meeting. How are you going to organize yourself? How do you know if you have a client that's coming in? Check your calendar. That's the only way that you can follow up as well. So, because we do have, once you send it off to compliance, you have that period where you have to follow up.
100%.
No, I agree on the calendar, 100%. And I know when I was in workforce housing, our reports were due every year, July 1st. And if you waited until April to be like, all right, let me get my paperwork together, you're never going to get it done on time. So whenever we would have each move in or each renewal, I had a binder, old school binder, and I had everything in there. And then I also would upload it into, whatever shared drive you have. But you have to do it immediately. You cannot wait until the deadlines. You cannot wait until it comes through. It's a daily, when I was in the workforce sector, daily updating everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate.
I would say another tip is always get a refresher training because we do this so often, but you forget things. So always stay on top of something. If there is something that you can join, like a coffee talk plug, make sure you join it so you can get refreshed because you forget things, and it'll give you some helpful tools to stay organized and whatnot. So just don't ever think you know everything.
Is there any sort of cadence that you have set up for your teams for refresher trainings?
Oh my gosh. So I guess you can call me like the education queen because we don't have a formalized educational department or a training department. So that's me. So I literally use my calendar for everything. So I am setting up trainings that I develop myself, and I like to be fun. So it's not your traditional slideshow training because that's, to me, you can make that interesting, but people get bored. Yeah. And I get bored very easy as well. Yeah. So you know how they have the thing online where they're the dating show and they have the balloons? I did that. So I had my maintenance team come up. They had the balloons and I asked common question, pop the balloon if it's the right answer. Why did you pop your balloon? So I try to make it extra creative. I've done where they played a game. Maintenance again, because I do it in a different thing. So who can put the lock together the fastest? Because how fast are you doing this work order? How long does it take you to change that lock on that door? So we took it right out the box and we did a whole maze. So, and then with my managers, I have buzzers. I love buzzers. So they're coming up, they're playing the buzzer game. So it's just ways of being fun and creative because sometimes you forget, oh my God, I'm actually learning, but I'm having a good time. So big on, but I'm also very theatrical. So it's to be expected.
I know training is near and dear to your heart. So how often would you suggest doing some sort of refresher training just to keep this material fresh in everyone's mind? Because, laws are changing all the time and throughout different municipalities.
I mean, at a minimum annually, but I do think that there is so much out there that, every quarter you should do something as a team together to train and to learn. I know when we were doing workforce with the last company I was with, it was something every month, okay, what are our workforce? Here's the new rates. Here's the new utility rates. I think a minimum of annually, but at least quarterly, you should be looking at something.
I agree. I think too much time away is also a little bit a lot. It's a lot. So I think quarterly, is really, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Just really quick to circle back on the workforce housing because, as you stated, life is expensive right now. And you do see more and more buildings popping up all over that have workforce housing. And I think the Live Local Act is a really big part of that.
Yes, it is.
Alexis, would you like to opine on that?
I am prepared. All right. So just the definition of what actually is the Live Local Act. Okay. So it passed in 2023 and it was updated in 2025. It's a major Florida statewide housing strategy aimed at increasing affordable housing. Why? Because housing is expensive. It provides tax exemptions and incentives for developers who build rental units for households with income up to the 120% AMI median, often enabling high density developments in commercial, industrial, or mixed use zones. So this is hey, we need affordable housing. This is kind of the act that everyone is using. We need it though. Come on, we're in Florida. Most expensive place, worst place for a renter. Sorry, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that's a local act in a nutshell.
Thank you. Let's go on to segment 2. Real tricks behind retention, morale, and the leasing success. So in this segment, we're going to cover the little things that keep teams happy and prevent burnout that no handbook will ever talk about, how team culture directly impacts leasing energy and resident experience, on-the-job leasing tips that help turn tours into leases, and ways experienced teams stay motivated, support each other, and keep momentum going. Brandi, what's something that keeps your team motivated during stressful times?
So you can only throw so many pizza parties, right? People are so sick of pizza parties. I think that in today's environment, especially in a post-COVID era, our renters are more difficult. And burnout rates are much, much higher. So sometimes I think it's a simple phone call to say thank you. Or, I work in the corporate office. I show up at our team sometimes, just to show up. Hey, I'm here to help you today. Recently, we had a building in Central Florida that the residents woke up at 4 a.m. to the building settling, and the building doors were cracking. They were locked in their doors. And the Orange County Fire Department came out and evacuated our entire building. That was on March 19th. And our residents still are evacuated from their home. The whole building is evacuated. As someone in our corporate team office, they called me to say, hey, can you black out our calendar? We can't take appointments. And I said, what else can I do? And myself and a couple of us other trainers, we took the phones. Let me answer the phones. You help the people coming in. Let me help and answer the phones for you. Let me do what I can do. And I think that just that simple act of appreciation is going to help keep the teams motivated. We recently had our awards ceremony. We brought the whole team from Orlando up to Boston and just recognize them. People like recognition.
Yes.
They do like just that little bit of, hey, I see you. I see your hard work. You're doing a great job. And that doesn't always cost money. And it's more than a pizza party. So I think that is something we have to do in these stressful times, especially, the three of us, we work in the corporate sector of it. Show up, answer the phones, take a tour.
Yes.
Come in and say, I'm here to help. I'm boots on the ground. I do it all of the time. Tomorrow we have a community up in St. Lucie County. I'm going up. They have a new manager. Let me take off some of the burden for you today.
That's really nice.
Why not? It's easy to do. And I think that people seeing that nobody is above whatever anybody else is doing helps keep them motivated. So that's something I like to do. I enjoy it.
Alexis, what's something that you do to keep your teams motivated?
Just like Brandi said, people like acknowledgement. But something I learned is not everyone likes to be acknowledged the same way.
Correct.
It's a question I had to ask. So I sat down, I did one-on-ones, and I was like, well, how do you like to be acknowledged? Because some people, I want the shout out, put it in the email, tell everybody. And then some people are like, send me an email on the side. I don't want the pressure. I don't like that. So it's something I recently actually learned because I'm a bullet point, highlight, rah, because, people want to feel appreciated, and we have so much going on. It's such a fast paced environment. Honestly, working in our field is the reality show you didn't sign up for. Literally, you've been casted. So you have to stay on top of things. So you got to get a little bit creative in how you want to kind of praise people as well. So I'm praising you. I am being specific. So what am I actually praising you for? So I'm not just saying, hey, good job.
Yeah.
Good job for blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Because maybe that'll motivate somebody else to want to do what you just did. So I'm being intentional with my praise, and I'm also being creative at the same time.
You know what I love about that? And I know we're going to get into leasing and talking about leasing, but in leasing, we talk about personalization and being focused all on the prospect. And it's the same for us. We have to be focused on the person to say, hey, you did great at this.
That's true.
You are amazing at XYZ. So it's the same thing that we're teaching them to do with our prospects. We need to do with our team members. We recently had our annual sales kickoff. And at the end of every sales kickoff, we send handwritten thank you cards to every single participant, which is about 200. And my hand hurts at the end of it. But I just got finished spending a whole week telling you how you need to personalize. So it comes from the top and comes, down. And it's amazing how many emails I got thanking me for the thank you card. I think that's really good that you said that because we need to practice what we preach.
Nope. I like that. You know how they have National Employee Appreciation Day?
Yes.
National Boss Day. It's coming up, guys. But I did an email. And
public appreciation.
I like Starbucks. I have 60 people on the team. And this one year I wrote everyone's name and I specifically said why I'm thankful for you. It was a lot, but people appreciate that. Oh my God, you remembered when you did this?
Yes.
I can't believe you remembered that. So you have to take the time out to appreciate the people that work with you because we're all working for someone.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Circling back really quick, because that's a very interesting story that you told about your building. And so talk about being motivated, but there's almost no training for that.
Right.
So how did you keep your team calm? And how do you think you've prepared them or you guys prepared them for certain situations like that?
We were not prepared at all. There's no SOP on what to do with shifting buildings. So It was a lot of the first couple of days, communication was rough, and communication with our residents was rough because we just didn't know what to do. So it came down to, we would all get on a call and say, okay, how are we going to help people get their animals? Because you imagine you left for work at 7 a.m, like a normal day, and you're not allowed to go back to your home. Your animals are there, your medicine, your clothes. And so we are like, okay, how are we going to do this? So then it was just like, all right, now we're movers. So people had to send us emails or send us text messages. Thank goodness for new property management software systems that allow for easy texting and communication. And then we're like, okay, Alexis, you go to 522 and get their fish, so it was very challenging. We all worked for 3 weeks straight with, no breaks, no stops. And I think that the residents were obviously frustrated, but our community, that particular community, we have this new term now, banking goodwill, because they had such great resident service before that they trusted us that we were going to take care of their belongings. So although communication was really, really rough, there is no training on that. And we just said, okay, let's figure this out. And it was fly by the seat of our pants. But now, we've gotten, we're down to about 14% occupied at that community. But we figured it out. It was just like a bunch of phone calls, a bunch of, late nights of saying, how are we going to respectfully move these people to another location?
Wow.
So definitely, I don't want to do it again.
It's a reality show. What episode was that? Honestly, you're not prepared for this.
That was season 20.
There
Okay, so what's a leasing tip you only learn after doing it for a while?
So I love this question. When I saw this, I'm like, I've got this. I think one of the biggest leasing tips we can learn after being in the business for a while is learning how to read the room. In the beginning of our leasing, we have our phone script, we have our training, and we need to do our tour route and ask our discovery questions. And I think that I can tell when I'm shopping communities, the newer leasing consultants versus the seasoned ones, because the newer ones are asking, and they're not listening to what I'm saying. So once we learn how to read the room and read the person, we really up our leasing game and our sales game, because every apartment community, especially now with all these new constructions, they're all the mid-rise, millennial gray, quartz countertops, they all look the same. But it's the person and the personality and the personalization that they give on the tour that just takes a little bit of time. Very rarely do we get a new leasing consultant to the business that just steps up and gets it. And when I see them, I'm like, hold tight. Don't let this person go. Yeah, it's fantastic. He's fantastic. But I think learning how to figure out the person that you're touring and the group that you're with is how you learn, just to be a better leasing consultant. And hey, if you're great at leasing, you don't ever have to be promoted. You can be amazing at your job, make excellent money, and have fun. I love leasing. I absolutely love it.
I have a few team members like that they just want to lease. They don't want the responsibility of anything that comes after it. They love what they do. They're amazing at what they do.
And let them. Sometimes some of your greatest leasing consultants, they move on to that assistant manager role and they fall and they're terrible. They want to move up. And so we have to give them that opportunity. But I don't think that, we can go into a whole different.
Yep. Because not everyone can manage if they want to be a manager.
Yeah, but I don't think that in our field anymore that it's a linear. It doesn't have to be linear. They can go, and like in our sales training department, I'll hire sales trainers straight from leasing. You don't need to be a manager to be a sales trainer. You can be a great leasing consultant. So find what you love and keep doing it.
I like that.
I think that's what it needs to be.
I like that.
Well, let's keep building off of that. How do you feel team culture shows up in the leasing success and process?
You got to like what you do.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you're not having fun at work, you need to find a new job. So we're with all of our coworkers, we talk about it all the time, more than we're with our families. So you have to be able to enjoy the people you work with and have fun at work. When I still managed a site, we would do probably once every couple of months, we would have Fun Friday. Because it's a stressful community. The community I was at although it was an easy community, it was A+ luxury, and those residents we know are a little bit more feisty, but we would have Fun Fridays. We would come in, we were in Jupiter, so I'd bring in Jupiter donuts for everybody. You got to have it, right? And then that day we would wear jeans, we would barbecue, maybe at lunch we'd close the office and play a game of cards, but we had to build that environment because it's just that type of team building that's going to get you through the next stressful situation. It's going to get you through, especially summer's coming up. We're going to have a lot of broken ACs, a lot of people want rent credits. let's sit back and have fun with each other before we move on.
Alexis, tell me about team culture and how you think it shows up in leasing success.
Oh gosh, team culture. All right. Team culture is all about energy. All right. What you present is how people will, receive you and perceive you. So it's all about the energy. Honestly, I feel it's all about your vibe. It's all about your body language, and you have to be consistent. So what is your team culture? Consistency. I'm always smiling, and I'm pretty much what you see is what you get, honestly. So it's the type of culture that I have cultivated for my team. You'll never, ever see me get out of character per se. I don't have a reason to yell ever. It'll always be this level. And I try to, be the example for everyone else to kind of be the same way. But we're at work, we're at work here for 8 hours a day. So try to make the best out of it. Don't let anyone get you out of your character. It's really just it's not worth it, honestly. So just try to create that positive space for you. Mm-hmm. And I think positive space and energy and culture is also music. So any space that you walk in for me, whichever office I'm at, whatever satellite office is going to have music. It's going to be fun. It's going to be creative. It's the artsy person in me. So I kind of push that on the team as well.
I can see that in you because last year you and a lot of your team members took CAM, and I taught a couple of the sessions of CAM, and her managers love her.
Yeah.
There is a great environment with you guys. So I can see that you are what and I think it's important as a leader to have that open space. One thing, whenever I go into leasing offices, if the manager's door is closed, I open it.
Red flag.
Yeah. I open it. Nope. We're doing this together.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm going to take this door off. But I think that you do a great job with that because I could tell your managers that were with you just, they're not uncomfortable or intimidated.
Yeah, no, it's not necessary. No. I'm very good at boundaries, right? So I can be strict. I can enforce the rules on the clock. But after work, we can go to the movies. We can hang out. Mm-hmm. But when we go back to work, if you miss a deadline, I don't mind sending you an email. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I can set healthy boundaries and still be consistent person. So I think that's really important in cultivating a culture in order to be successful, is making sure that people know that you have an open door policy and it's okay to come to you if you mess up. Don't wait for it to blow up. Mm-hmm. Let me know ahead of time.
When I was very first a new manager, apparently I have a serious face when I'm working. And I don't realize this, but I would always be at my computer and I guess I would have this look on my face. And I had a leasing consultant come up to me and she's like, you're a little intimidating. I'm like, ooh, me? What? I can't, what do you mean? She goes, you always have this look on your face. And I so appreciated that because I have since tried to work on that because I am the least intimidating person in the world, I think, and so I think that it's important for that culture and that success, even to receive feedback, to be like, how can I be better? How can I be a better manager?
Yes.
So we can have fun at work.
Wherever I work, if I'm walking in the room and it's silent, oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortable.
We can't
have a little bit of something, some good energy, some good vibes, because I'm putting myself in a resident's shoes. So if you walk in and the air is just stiff and stale and uncomfortable and your door is closed and you have a body language don't come talk to me, I don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be the standard, set the standard, be the example.
I have a serious question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you sing to your teams? Because fun fact, Alexis can sing.
I sing every day. I'm a musician. So I listen to everything. I'm singing. It can be obnoxious. I will say, hey, let me know if I'm loud in here. I'll have people that will jump in and harmonize. I mean, we have fun. But we work. We work. Boss, if you're listening to us, we do work, but we have fun.
What's one thing you wish someone told you on your first day about property management that you didn't know?
Ooh. Want me to go?
Yep, you got this one.
I wish somebody would have told me it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
That is something that if my boss is listening now, she'll be like, Brandi, just relax. It's okay. Because I have such anxiety if it's not done exactly how it should get done. And so when I first came in and I was new, I was so nervous that I was going to mess up. And I think we all mess up. I still mess up. 26 years later, I'm still messing up. So I really wish that somebody would have told me on day one, you're not going to get it all in the beginning. And every day is different. Some days we're, evacuating units. Some days we're cleaning apartments. Some days we're leasing. Sometimes we're outside marketing. So I just wish that somebody would have told me in the very beginning, don't expect perfection because it's never going to get there. And I think I probably could have saved myself a lot of stress as a new leasing consultant, because I started way, way, way back where, yes, fair housing has always been around, but it wasn't as there wasn't as much training. The first company I worked for never trained me on anything. So I just kind of got my keys, and I was 22 years old, and I'm like, let's find some apartments to lease,
Jeez.
So I wish somebody would have told me in the beginning that it's okay. And I think I could have saved myself a lot of stress.
Yeah.
It is okay. I feel like just like any new job, it's like very intimidating at first, but once you kind of get comfortable and get in your groove, you'll be good. And one thing I tell the team is no one can be you. So like you're bringing you to this situation and this environment. So be original, learning never gets old, and ask the questions. Don't pretend to know everything.
Right.
Because I'm not afraid to say I don't remember, especially since, in our roles, if I don't do this particular job all the time, I'm not going to pretend to know that I have the answers for this. Hey, look, let me get back to you. Let me get with this person. Let me get compliance. Let me double check with this. Let me do research on my own.
Yeah.
It's okay to say I don't know, because I'm going to research. I'm going to follow up. So ask the questions.
That's good.
You both bring up two very good things. As you said, starting at a new company, it is very intimidating. And a lot of people think that because they have experience in the industry that they're coming in, they're just going to go, 0 to 100. But every company's different. We all have different operating procedures, all that. And I say, listen, I'm going to teach how to do all the rest. Be you, have fun. And it's going to take you a good year or so before you even really feel comfortable. And then it's going to change all over again. And then you're going to have to keep going and learning all over again. So just like you said, be patient and be open to it.
And change. Oh gosh, it's always changing. That's a good point. You just brought that up, Alicia. I wish someone would have told me on day one that it's going to change and it's okay.
You think you know, but you don't.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay.
And give yourself some grace, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, when you're going anywhere for a first day, it's not just about the work you're doing. It's also about the people that you're working with.
Yes.
And then we are also in a service business. So then it's the clients that you're serving as well. So give yourself some grace, one day at a time. Honestly, you're not going to be liked overnight. So give yourself some time.
I feel like I need to remember that.
Do either of you ladies have any additional tips or tricks for our listeners?
All right. One thing that I will tell my staff, and it may not be popular for other managers, is take your vacation time. You're no good to me, burnt out, stressed out, high blood pressure. You're no good. And guess what? If something happens to you tomorrow, we're in a business, we're in a world where they post your position and they move on. Take your vacation time, so long as you have your office covered. So long as we're on the same page, but take a break. The job is going to be there. Set boundaries. I know we're in the era of, what is it? Life, health, balance. What is it? What is the thing that they say?
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance. Set your boundaries.
Yes.
Honestly, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. Are you okay with somebody calling you after 5 o'clock or no? I set my boundaries. When the day is over, the day is over unless there's an emergency. That's just healthy, because when you get home, you have a family, you have a life. This affords us our life, but it is not your life. All right. You guys have to separate the two. Cover yourself in everything that you do. I am the biggest emailer you'll see in the world. My team will tell you that, but it gets us out of everything. Hey, look, email on such and such day at such and such time, follow up. Cover yourself, because you never know. Unpopular opinion, I'm a get to the point type of person. So if you're sending me any email communication, or you're sending our attorney email communication, we pay for that. So get to the point. So in a world where you give me a 8-page, AI generated response, I want 3 sentences. What happened? Who it happened to? When it happened? How can we get to the point? And then lastly, speak for yourself. Unless you're obviously an attorney representing the team, but speak for yourself. So when you're speaking to anybody in upper management, or your regional, or whomever, speak on your behalf on what you're experiencing so you can make it better. Other team members need to be able to learn how to speak up for themselves as well. So those are my tips.
All amazing tips.
Those are great.
Brandi.
I would like to add to that, to never stop learning. I obviously in training, I love learning, but SEFAA, we have a wonderful education and career committee. We have free coffee talks that happen all year long, but also keep learning for yourself. There's great books out there, and you don't have to just learn stuff within property management. A couple of my people this year are taking Disney Institute courses. There's a author out there called Shep Hyken, and he talks a lot about customer service. I bought Every Single Leasing Consultant, that book, last year, because I think it's great just to keep on reading and learning and never stop, because that's how you grow, right? That's how you grow and become better within yourself, but also within your career. And it just shows that you have a passion for what you do. But, you know, also what Alexis said, like, leave work at work, like leave when you're done. I think especially if we're on site and we're within, you know, managers are always like, I need to, especially when you live on site. Oh, those kids are, it's okay to disconnect. It is absolutely okay. Because like you said, you're no good burnt out, no good to anybody at all. You're not good to your family. You're not good to yourself. You're not good to your boss. You're not good to your property. So leave work alone. My work cell phone is shut off on the weekend.
Amen.
It's shut off. And honestly, it's still shut off right now. But this because you have to keep it outside. No, but I think it's really important to disconnect. Yeah. We have to. Our jobs are way too stressful.
1,000%. And it's gotten more and more stressful over the last few years. And I have to agree. Yes, I used to be that boss that was working, constantly emailing. And then honestly, it wasn't until I just had my youngest son where I was like, it's not worth it. It can all wait. And so I really try to push that balance on my team. So like, hey, we do spend more time together than we do our own families. But when you get that family time, cherish it and like just live in the moment.
And you know, we live in South Florida. Like there's so much to do down here. We go to the beach, we go to Disney, we go to Universal, whatever. But we have to have fun.
Yes.
Outside of work.
Very important.
Thank you, ladies. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for helping cover and break down the difference between workforce housing, Section 8, and tax credit, giving us all those tips. Also, just really talking about our teams and how to keep them happy and motivated. It was amazing. For all of our listeners, please do not forget that SEFAA does have exciting events on the horizon, ideal for recognizing all the achievements and providing valuable resources to succeed. Check out the SEFAA website for details on all of our upcoming events. And that's a wrap for this episode of SEFAA Soundbites. A huge thank you to our special guests for sharing their insight on hot topics in our community. If you like today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to SEFAA Soundbites on Spotify and YouTube, or listen anytime at www.sefaa.org by clicking the podcast section under the info tab. We'd love your feedback. Leave a comment or share this episode with a colleague who could use a little industry inspiration. Thanks for listening. I'm Alicia Rice, your SEFAA 2026 President-elect, and this has been SEFAA Soundbites.